Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Sosbans and Sidesteps podcast. Joining me, Big M, as always, the one and only Huw Griffin, HG Rugby. Good evening, my friend. How are you?
Good evening. I'm somewhat tired. I had a very difficult weekend of doing in-depth rugby research in the southeast of France, southeast, yes, of France, in Provence over the weekend, and I've taken on that much French rugby culture that I can now barely walk.
Wow, wow. You always have to give us some flashy lifestyle,
I know it's just my jet set lifestyle these days, mate. I can't help it. These things just happen to me.
So you know what? Let's dive into that little trip down to the south of France. I believe it's southeast. You have to check yourself then.
Yeah, Provence. I'm pretty sure it's southeast.
Provence, Provence, whatever you say. Um, George North did a bit
Yeah.
of a cameo for you. They actually put up some highlights of that game for him specifically. He weren't too bad. Still do a job. He was wearing the
He
13,
was
mind.
ridiculous. Like his first two touches were line breaks, and the second one was a try. He when you see him on the pitch, he's like massive. You're athletically quite a lot more gifted than all of the other players on this pitch, and it, what something that really came off was how vocal he was. He was always pointing. He was always bossing. He was always organising people around him. He was like a second playmaker, like telling Goppers when to do it, and he was making it really clear. And I guess he's having to do a lot of it in his third language, being French. Um, so yeah, very impressive, very impressive. It was a treat to see it. And honestly, his first line break, he gets the ball about 40 meters out. It's like, see ya, and just goes.
I I know exactly the one you're on about because it gave me flashbacks to the 2013 Lions. Honestly, just his running style is so identifiable. The way he moves his body, you could cut off the head and just show anybody that run. You know that's George
Yeah, it's
North
the
in a
way he
heartbeat.
holds the ball in two hands. The way he holds the ball in two hands, just something about that is so George North. I also saw on the Saturday, I saw Toulon versus Toulouse, and we were sat that high up in the gods, like you could barely make out who was who on the pitch. But I knew which one was Dan Bigger because of how he kicked the ball. He's got this very rigid kind of back thing, and then he kicks with his right foot, and his kind of left foot leaves the floor as he kicks. It's so distinctive. I'm like, that's big. I can tell just by how he's t kicking the ball. And my mate who's with me is like, I've got no idea what you're on about. But yeah, so I saw that. And Tom Francis was playing for France as well, and he absolutely murdered Biarritz's scrum.
Ooh, Tom Francis. What could we do with a player like him in Wales? You know what I mean? Okay, that's your sunny side trip to the southeast, yes, east of France. So we were actually going to talk about something a bit further south than that. We get to talk about something that happened in Johannesburg, a lot further south, but a lot higher up, almost 6,000 feet in the air. The Scarlets taking on the Emirates Lions. Now, last league match, we destroyed the Leinster Lions. This time, the Emirates Lions, do you think Lions are any good against Dragons?
It was just clearly any rugby team called the Lions just isn't very good, isn't it?
It is true. It's just a fact of life, especially when there isn't any Scarlets involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so on to the game. Um, 32-22? No,
32-19.
32-19. Yeah, get my head mixed up then. It's 22-19 at one point. Was it? Oh, I'm losing my head now. I
It
can't
was
remember
at
the
one
score
point, yeah.
lines.
It
Yeah,
went
it
back to
was.
2019. So as
Yes, at 10 points at the end. Yeah.
as often is the well, not as often, but as is becoming annoyingly regular at the moment. I couldn't watch the game, what with being not in Britain or South Africa. So I was in a so we'd gone for lunch. So how much of this do I say? We'd gone to an art gallery
Oh,
and
wow.
walked around some churches, and we found we completely by accident stumbled across a Picasso collection, so that was cool. Had a look at that. Then we had some lunch, and I had a whole pizza, a portion of tiramisu, and two glasses of red. And then we wandered into town, and we had sat down for another beer on top of it. And it was one of those where it felt like someone was inflating a balloon in my stomach. So I was sat there in this bar with this beer, and I'm like, I don't know if I could drink this beer. I think I'm going to explode. And the Scarlets game was happening at the same time, and I had like in and out signal and things. So I was trying to piece together what was happening between BBC Sport, which was as like a 15-minute delay, flash score, which is optimistic at best with what's going on, and then our group chat. I'm like, what's happening? And there was a moment where I've messaged the group chat, who scored? And producer Lee says, we did. I'm like, yeah, I know that, like, specifically. So it was an intense experience, and I've only just started getting back, uh, sort of watching it back. I'm on about the 50th minute. I've just seen Plumtree score, and the Lions have just picked up a yellow card for taking down our maul. More on that later. So
Yeah.
my analysis is legitimate up until that point. But we were in the lead and we won the game, so all the major headlines.
Okay. So moral of the entire story is if you can't buy a house down west, it's because Howard's got his second and third house down there. That's basically what he's just told us. So on to the actual game itself. Not exactly a roller coaster of a ride, but there were some emotional moments. Probably you haven't actually quite hit them fully at the minute. It did get tense towards the hour mark. We were making line breaks, which was brilliant, but we just weren't executing. I mean, if we go through the entire game, there's probably two out and out walk ins and probably another two or three clear cut chances that
Yeah, I haven't got to those yet. I'm looking forward to those. Everyone's told me so much about them.
they are fun. It is the boys being the boys is what that needs to be described as. They just doing things, being happy Scarlets once again. What we've seen against the Lions and against Leinster, and whether or not there is a correlation with Sam Costello being back or not, is the team that we saw prior to sort of New Year's Day. The team that we were praising so much, that first half of the season, we should really be top three, top two, whatever. And we seem to be getting back to that. And for me, Sam is the only common denominator.
Johnny Williams being back has been good as well. I think it's as much him being fresh and playing for a contract as anything.
Well, we're hoping to hear some positive news on that front in the coming weeks, hopefully days. But knowing the scars, it'll be probably about 2 months after the season ends. But yeah, Johnny is Johnny. I mean, the little video they posted on Instagram of them arriving in South Africa, the plane trip over, in and around the airport, the look he just gives to the camera when it pans to him, he just looks like he's not going to be someone's best friend by the end of this weekend. Someone is going to be cursing his name for the rest of their life. He just had that sort of grin about him. He knows something.
Well, he's head of the cool kids table. We've known that for years.
I know, but that cheeky look you see certain kids have. He just personified that massively, and it
I'm
was
Johnny
like
Williams. I do's what I wants.
basically that was I really loved seeing that sort of content, and I hope we get a lot more of it. It is really good as a fan to see that, especially when you can't make it out there. But in all seriousness, Johnny was excellent as well. It's like we talk a lot about how good Eddie James is, and Eddie James is an and more of an all round player than Johnny. Johnny has, well, yes, he can do the same things.
Johnny's shown a lot more skills this season than he has previously. I don't
Yeah,
know whether because Wales were coached by Gatland, he felt he needed to prove he was a crash ball or whatever, but he's been a lot more kind
varied.
of flary this season. Yeah.
I think obviously him playing 12 and 13 that has contributed to it. Obviously similar but also massively different skill sets at the same time. And to have someone who can play both positions to the level that Johnny can is, you're laughing, absolutely laughing.
Not all good though.
Uh
See
oh.
this? Disgraceful.
Oh no. Is
Jumping out
that,
of a tackle.
is it, was it out of the tackle or was it to avoid the tackle? That's a question.
Both his feet are off the ground, Mark. That's all I can tell you. Both
Yeah,
his feet are off the ground, therefore he has jumped, therefore he should have had a red card.
yeah, but has he jumped to avoid a tackle, or has he jumped?
It's just a still image, Mark. I can't tell you any more than this.
I know this is a poor image to pick. We really should have avoided this controversial subject.
While we're here, the kit situation.
Oh no, it just is so wrong. I I don't know why they've gone with this, and
It's because the Lions have got black shorts and a red top. So we've had to go for reddy black, reddy bluey top and sorry, blacky bluey top and red shorts to avoid the clash.
but
It's just one of
how
them where you go, hang on a minute.
how is that a clash? I why if you look at the bottom half, the socks count as much too. I mean, I don't understand why patterned blue, navy, black, whatever color you want to call it, shorts would clash with all black. I I don't
Well,
understand the logic.
our alternate shorts actually that color? Or
Yeah,
are
it's
they just
exactly the
black?
same.
I've got a
No,
feeling they're just black.
they're the same pattern.
No, I think they're just black. Hang
They're
on.
the same pattern.
We'll figure this out. Don't you worry, listener. We'll get to the bottom of this.
Oh, Jack's going to be really annoyed. We have to pause
I
this.
know.
So that's Johnny. Johnny in a nutshell. Absolutely amazing. There's, quite frankly, as a
Oh
12.
no!
What, you're wrong?
No, the picture of Joe Roberts of him wearing the alternate kit to promote it is just he's wearing jeans in it.
Go on the bloody website, the club shop.
Don't get you. Are you telling me that the Scarlets website is the answer to this situation?
No, the club shop.
It's on the
Is
Scarlets website. All right, hang on.
slight difference, slight difference.
Right, I've got something here. Here we go.
He's
Google
got
Images. Hang on,
something,
just make sure
people.
my tabs are legit. Yeah, cool. Right.
What's he been looking at?
There might be a birthday present on one of the other tabs. You never know. Right. So here we go. So this is them posing with them big lorries, and it's a bluey black. I hadn't noticed the socks really up until now. Some socks are quite nice.
I'm sure I've seen the kit as matching. You know what? This is a case for the club shop now. This is obviously you carry on. I'm not sharing my screen. That's only for the community section.
Right. Okay.
No.
What were we talking about? Was it the game?
Johnny was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk more about the game. Let's talk our first half because the first half was really good, especially
I'm
the
just
ending.
enjoying this whole thinking the Scarlets are good, expecting them to win a game, and then they do. This is nice.
Yes, it is. Okay, back to the short. Okay, so it's like 66% is all black, and then the pattern is on the sides. So
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know who wins that one. I really don't. Okay, yeah, Scarlets are good. Really, really good. Should be winning South Africa. Should be doing a double in South Africa, but we'll come on to more of that
Blair
later.
Murray's good.
He's not so bad. He's not so bad at all.
Yeah, I'm enjoying Blair Murray playing for the Scarlets at the moment. He seems, I'm not really apart from Tommy Rog, who didn't get the ball much in this game, but as a winger, sometimes that can happen. In fact, I'm going to have a look at his stats in a second, see how many times he actually did touch the ball. Because I'm thinking back in my head now, and I can't remember a single time. But um, I'm not convinced by either Blair Murray or Ellis Meat under the high ball. But with the feet on the floor, can't fault him.
Yeah, I mean, with Blair, there's the obvious drawbacks of his height. Like, what's he, 5'8"? Might be a little bit taller than I might be doing him a bit of a disservice by you. But and obviously height is no correlation of skills in the air. But competing against someone who's generally at least 6 foot, you're at a disadvantage to start. I mean, he does have the skills. He can do it. He can be a nuisance. But as a defensive 15, where you're not always running onto the ball, that can be an issue. Obviously, people outside of the Scarlets don't seem to care as much at the minute, and we're kind of stuck in a position where it seems that we have to follow suit, which may or may not be great. Ellis, me, yes, he should be doing better under the high ball, given he's on the opposite end of the spectrum. But at the same time, he is that few years younger. This is this first season in a professional setup. Regardless of what you can say about Blair, the NPC is a professional setup, so he has been in and around that for a good few years. Whether or not they class that as they a pro is another question. But for Ellis, he hasn't come up against many professional defenses, so he hasn't had to be tested in that way. So he's got the raw materials. He's got a, a lot of skills up to a high enough level to be, in that Wales chat. So for me, just give him time. He'll learn. He'll learn when to go, the timings of everything. He'll get that because he has that sort of quality. And I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you've got Tommy Rogers' stats up by now.
No, sorry, I didn't even look.
He didn't even look. Yeah, and I'm actually trying to think back myself, and I can't remember seeing him. Watch now, we'll have like 6 carries or something. We were like, oh crap. But he is primarily our chaser because he is so great retaining ball.
One
And
carry.
one carry. Well, that tells you the style of play we actually enforced in this game, because you called it quite a few weeks ago when we first started discussing the Lions. You give them the ball, they don't want the ball. So
Yeah, they dominated possession and territory, and they did nothing with it. And we didn't dominate possession or territory, and we scored 4 tries, should have scored more. There you go. Love it when a plan comes together.
So basically, we're exactly the same team, except how we managed to execute our tactics properly.
Yeah, we did. There was a whole narrative put around by a certain person that we're a tactically naive team. And I think it depends who's playing at fly half. But we do have some cute little touches to us and cute little details that I do enjoy, and I enjoy picking them out after games and things. Not tons of try analysis in this episode, I'm afraid, partly because the camera angles in Ellis Park are absolutely dog poo, and you can't tell anything from them. But yeah, just we don't need to labour the point too much, I don't think, Mark. But again, Sammy just makes everything better.
I really want, please, the clip that's on our socials around the 77th minute mark about Sammy telling people what he wants to happen, and just pure disdain on poor young Tane's face.
Like, take this off me, will you, Sammy? Crash it up. I don't want it. I'm knackered. Crash it up. Look at him. Don't give me that ball. Do not give me that ball.
That's absolutely brilliant. But
Tane's thinking, God, Ewan would have had this off me by you.
100%. You say, why is Young at 15? Bring him back at 10, please. You can go play 15 for 5. But it just shows that the type of leader that Sammy is and the type of 10 that he is. He knows when to have the ball, when not to have the ball. And that is something that is completely missing from Johan Lloyd's game as a 10. He just wants the ball. That's literally it. He is that kid in under 7s, 8, 9s, 10, all the way up. Give me the ball, I'll do something. That is Johan Lloyd's game to a T, especially on attack. So having Sammy back there is brilliant. But it also shows that respect there. I mean, someone like Tane, I mean, rightly or wrongly, probably wrongly, he seems to have a bit of a reputation of someone who just does what he wants. And I don't understand how people have come to that conclusion. But, he's being told by someone the same age as him, different style, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm doing it. And then, like, just not executing it very well, but just doing
it
it
under penalty advantage anyway.
Yeah. That ended in that 45, 50-meter boost, didn't it? Fair play. Okay, I want to talk about the final kick from Sammy at the end of both half. So that penalty to seal the game, that extra 3 points at the end. Nice, fair play. You got a bit of whack to do that even in South Africa. But that drop goal at the end of the first half. Oh, that was beautiful.
For line out steal.
And
I haven't seen him drop a goal in ages.
Ditto. I'll be honest, it might have even been, has he dropped a goal for the Scarlets?
I don't know.
The Wales 20s?
Yeah, the one that springs to mind is Wales under 20s.
England against in
Yeah, when he beat England on his own.
in Gloucester.
I can't remember him dropping one for the Scarlets.
But oh, it was just and that is again that's game management. That's the tactical side of a 10 like that. He knows the game is over, as in the half is coming up. What do we do? Do I kick or field? You know what? I'll have a crack at it. If I don't make it, it's going out anyway. Bang! Just does a nice little pling off the post. You gotta love that.
He was aiming for the post.
Obviously aiming for the post. You got to aim for the post. I mean, someone who we didn't expect to be talking about in this game, but I do think he deserves a lot of praise because he played around 50 minutes and he only came on in the 30th. Archie Hughes. Now we've been crying, screaming, whatever you want to call it, to use Archie, even use Evan off the bench a lot more. And unfortunately for Cowder, it seems as though he may have broken or badly damaged a rib or ribs. So he is on his way home, if not already home. I'm not sure how or when they sent him on his way, but he will take no further part in South Africa. But Archie came on, and I think it was at that point, I think Josh McLeod had been off for a little bit.
Yeah, we had that weird sight of both Josh McLeod and Dan Davis sat next to each other on those plastic chairs.
Yeah, that was.
By the way, Josh McLeod lost his scrum cap because he was wearing a black one. So
I
he's clearly
know
borrowed that off someone.
that was weird. I mean, I didn't question it, but it's Josh. You don't question Josh,
Hmm.
but that was weird. So we've had Archie. We didn't have Cowder on the field. We didn't have Josh McLeod on the field, and we didn't have Sammy on the field when he went off for blood sub. So obviously they didn't all correlate quite at the same time, but it did. When we've spoken many times, when we lose Josh and when we lose Sammy, the effect it can have on the squad as a whole, especially defensively, because they are our two main leaders, forwards and backs. There's no doubt to that in my mind. Sammy shouts and screams where you should be, and Josh just leads by example and drags everyone with him. So there were some concerns around what was going to happen then, but things were fine. We managed. We did okay. Okay, we did concede when Sammy was off, but I'll kind of let that one slide.
Well, I've got that up because I put that on socials. So I kind of think I'm kind of on like fair play to the Lions here because this is the setup before the try. Um, so the scrum's quite far onto the right hand side of the field as Lions are attacking. They've got one person one on one. So Ellis Mees marking that one, and then Archie Hughes is the +1. The scrum starts getting a nudge on, and then right at the last moment, when the scrum starts to get dominant and starts to turn, this Lions attacker runs over to this side, like so. So now it's a 2-on-2, and now the number 8 goes this side, and it's a 3-on-2. So I'm not mad at Archie or Ellis for this. Kind of Vea doesn't win that race. But again, he's not favourite to do that. So for me, I'm kind of like fair play the Lions. They've capitalised on scrum dominance to get a walk in the corner.
See, for me, I'm annoyed at Johan in that situation because he is that man. He's standing to the right of the scrum. You can clearly see the man running around. There's Johan on the right hand side of the screen. Obviously, you can see that player. He's already running at this point of what we've got, and there's a delay to the ball coming out of the scrum as well. So for
But
me,
for
if Sammy's in that position, you see he's already over there. Look, and Johan hasn't reacted at all.
but
Like,
for me, if you watch their 9, who's here, if you watch their 9, look there at that moment, see they split. I reckon their 9 is watching Johan, and if Johan had gone that way, the 9 would have picked it up and attacked that gap that Johan had left. Now, you could say that is that
Josh,
Dan Davis or Josh?
I think that's Josh.
Um, he's got eyes on the 9 and so might have had a better chance of covering him. And the referee's in the way as well, which complicates it. I say referee's in the way. Referee's got to be somewhere. The referee stood there. So for me, that's the 8 and the 9 working together, and the 9 has just gone whichever's if Johan doesn't go across, go that way, you're taking it. If he does go across, I'm taking it, I'm going that way. For me, that's what I think is happening. Now, looking back on that again, you can see that their 9, when he does run, ignore what's going on over here, watch their 9. Is there a gap there? Would he have gotten through? Is the referee in the way? But I think you're at that point, you're asking a lot of Johan Lloyd to be able to make that judgment call of, nah, it's all right, the referee's in the way, he'll get in the way of their 9.
Like,
You have to remember that this is all in slow motion as well. I'm showing this, so I don't know. For me, I'm kind of on the page of fair play Lions.
I know they've well worked. Obviously, you've got to play what's up against you, and there's probably a reason. They had plenty of scrums. In this game, there's probably a reason they waited till this moment to try and move like this. But, it's numbering up behind and in front. It's something I would have expected Johan to be calling his men over. Look, I'm going that side, filter over, that sort of thing. Just number up and just organize yourself as you're going through. That's what I would have hoped to have seen in that one.
Yeah.
But that's that. So back.
Last. Oh, sorry. What did you want to talk about?
I want to go back to Archie. He was brilliant.
Okay. Yeah. Fine.
He came on, and obviously he's had a bit of a tough time this season. Not had many minutes, and the start that he was given, away to Gloucester, not setting him up to succeed is probably the nicest way of putting it. But he showed so much of that promise, so much of that potential that we've all been talking about probably for the last 3 years. Since we saw him, really dominate, probably alongside Harry Williams in the Wales 20 setup. So yeah, he was awesome. Love seeing it, and I've got no problems with him carrying this on now into this next match. So yeah, shortened version.
Yeah. So I'll talk about that first. So if Caldor has played his last game this season, we've spoken about how we wanted other people we wanted like the nines to share the load a bit more. But the fact is that Caldor has started 17 out of 17 games, and he has touched a rugby ball more than any other player in the URC this season. Maybe even any other player full stop. Can't many more nines more experienced than him still getting the same minutes. So he's got nearly 5 kilometers worth of kick meters, call it 5 kilometers, nearly 900 passes, nearly 200 kicks, and 5 tries and loads of other stats as well that you can see on the screen now. He had a bit of a dip mid-season when we dipped,
Yeah.
but I still think he's had one of his best seasons for us in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I can't argue that. His kick in, especially probably the last month, has improved again. That little dip we spoke about, he seems to have come out of it now, and he has won games.
Having our first choice back 3 available, he's been able to go more contestable. Although to be fair to Max Page as well, he's had a good link up with Caldor in terms of chasing kicks and stuff, what to go over, especially the little dinks over the top.
Yeah, having all those aspects coming together do make things easier for you as a nine. Having Costello back as someone who knows when he wants to kick, not having everything run through Caldor, that would obviously play into this as well. When everything is on you, it doesn't matter how experienced you are, how great you are, it will tell in ways. And 17 games on the bounce in the league out of 17, you can't expect them all, especially when majority of them are 75 plus minute games. You can't expect all of them to be 5-star top out of the draw games. So credit to him, especially given his age profile as well, and the work you get through as a 9 anyway, like those cheat lines you're constantly running. So you're obviously back, and that's not to mention running ruck to ruck to ruck to ruck to ruck. The fitness levels on the boy have got to be through the. I say on the boy, he's the same age as me, for Christ's sake. Yeah, he's. I mean, we speak about him fairly regularly. The amount of 9s he has beaten and beaten and beaten and beaten again. I mean, honest to God, if he didn't retire from international rugby, he would still be Wales starter 9 and he would be on that Lions trip. I've no doubt about that in my mind, the way he's been playing.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I'm just glad he's been.
Ooh,
I'm just glad he's been playing for the Scarlets. Really, I'm glad he hasn't played for Wales. He's been better for us. Anyway, last little video clip I wanted to mention was this nice little line out variation. This is just a small thing. Um,
small thing. This is no small thing, my friend.
you got Joe Roberts and Johnny Williams in the line out. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 man line out.
Too many men. Too many
The
men.
ball goes in. Vea Fafita catches it, obviously, because he's Vea Fafita. He's gone up, but he's been lifted by Joe and Johnny. It's a decent lift.
Yeah, can't argue. Joe's hands are all the cock, mind. They look like they're well above the quad there. Johnny, I can't really see it clear enough, but he looks like he's got his hands in a good position under his ass. He looks like he's in there.
Yeah. So they do that, and then whilst they're doing that, this is it's a cute, cool little pop by Fafita coming. But whilst they're doing that, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forwards form the maul. So this just allows the maul to set more quickly than it would otherwise. This must have taken a lot of practice. Like if you watch this pop from Fafita to Lousy, that's slick. That's Tongan magic right there. And then what it means is, like I said, rather than this being too like a lock and a back row forward or a prop or something, now being indisposed because they're too busy putting their feet down. Do they put them down safely?
No, they don't.
No, they don't. Okay, I hadn't noticed that yet. Okay, rather than them being two forwards who completely dropping their feet on his face,
And when they have fought, they got taken out by the Lions. Should have been a
um,
second yellow.
he was all right. Yeah, it means there's a maul formed, and the Lions get a yellow card from it. I'm not sure about a yellow card for bringing down a maul cynically, but not a penalty try. I've started to see more of those, so I wonder whether it's a diktat from the referee higher ups. But I don't know. My instinct is if it's a yellow card, it's a penalty try. But that's just me.
Yeah, unless it's really blatant, something like literally in the line out. You know, then yeah, I can understand if it's like, but if it's as part of the maul, then you take that man out of the equation. They're obviously going over, one man down defending the maul when it's already powering towards the line. You're not stopping that end of. So someone we welcome back is Kemsley Matthias. I haven't seen him in a while. Didn't get a great too many minutes. Obviously, Alec Hepburn been playing out of his skin. Can't knock that man. So it's gonna take Kemsley getting a bit of form probably going to take into next season to properly have that battle with Alec again, which I really enjoyed first half of the season. You know, it's always good to see having proper competition, and even going into next season, look, Hardy O'Connor should be back. So Henry Thomas, Hardy O'Connor, Sam Wainwright, even Archer Holtz, if he is still around, I do believe he is. He hasn't been announced as leaving us as it stands. So prop wise, it's interesting battles for first and second choice. I'm really looking forward to that. So really happy to see Matthias back. Do we have to talk? We have to talk about the Schnetley Warthog. I think he's
He's just
undeniable.
good. I don't think this was an especially like
Great.
amazing game by his standards, but he was obviously nothing bad whatsoever to say about him. Like
He
just
he wins
doing his thing.
turnover. He wins he's like Cubby used to be. He wins really vital turnovers. Like when you literally your defense is sort of filtering around. Not everyone's back into position, and he's just there. He's stealing ball. He's like, yeah, don't worry, boys. You have five. You can walk back into the line. I'll just either slow this down or I'll just win a pen or a turnover. Either way, I'm fine. He does so many things so good, and I know it's been said before as well, but I hope Razi stays well away from him. I don't want him anywhere near going back to South Africa. He is officially Welsh, and he's from Llanelli, and he doesn't like anywhere further east than Binya, because Lacha, oh no. But yeah, I mean, everyone played to a really good standard in that game. I can't pick out anyone, especially out of the starters, who was really below average considering what the jobs they were asked to do. We mentioned Tommy Rodge, carrying the ball aside for Aussie. That wasn't the game plan. We weren't using him for that. Again against the Sharks, I would imagine he would carry a fair bit more. That's going to be more try and get more ball in hands, more feet on the ground sort of style game.
I think he's opposite Makazola Mapimpi next week.
Oh, easy game then. Easy game.
That'll be a good battle actually in the end.
I mean, let's be honest. We've got a history of our Welsh backs taking on some of the best South Africans and putting them in their place or putting them in their pocket. I should really say.
Yeah,
M and Huw
he's
had
thinking,
a good time.
Yeah, Tommy Rogers thinking, I've already skinned Curtly Aaronson once this season. I'll just skin you. Um, the yeah, not much else to say about this game really. It's just we were in the lead for the whole game. Yeah, we had a bit of a wobble in the middle. Yeah, we put a couple of balls to ground, but we won. Like I said, it's just nice seeing the Scarlets a game that we should have won. We did win.
Yay, Scarlets! Another 5 points in the bag. What's that? 20 in the last 4 games. That's perfect.
Is it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Ospreys smashed. Dragons smashed. Leinster smashed. Lions smashed. Sharks. Oh, I'm in the future. Sorry.
Some would say that makes us good. More on that later.
More on that later. So, do we have anything else to round off this game?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Okay, so some of you may have noticed we weren't here last week. No game, kind of got boring, so we kind of tied
I
the.
had loads of people though messaging me like, Huw, can you come on my podcast and talk about the Lions? And I thought, God, this Scarlets game is massive. But it was a different kind of Lions, unfortunately. A much more boring one.
Yeah, and these are all fantasy people that he was referring to. We all know this. He's lost up in his mind. But no. So there has been a couple signings, a couple retentions. So we'll dive into the retentions first. So I think it was 2 weeks ago we had Kemsley Matthias being announced as signing a new contract. Yes, it's what we need. We need to build more depth at loose head. Sam O'Connor progressing. Josh Morse, when he's fit, will be nice to see how he comes on. High ceiling expected of that boy. And the other one was a certain number 10, a certain Sam Costello, deciding, you know what, Scarlets are obviously the best because I'm here as well. So yeah, he's penned a new contract, and it's been coming. I think this is only his second contract with us, and he signed 4 seasons ago. So
Yeah, they haven't been telling us the length of any of these contracts, have they?
no, they don't tell lengths, which is so annoying. Like, I can understand not telling us how much they're worth, like the value of the contract. But come on, give us something. Is a 2+1? Just even give us that so we can just say everything's got a +1 on it. Because when Via Fafita was announced last year, someone put up a post of him saying, "Oh, he signed for 4 years," and then he liked it himself. It's like, and it's like, is this true? Have we got him for 4 years? That'd be great. But no, that's something that it probably is missing. We could do with get some contract length details in there. But yeah, Sam staying is brilliant. It's probably integral to the way we play moving forward and currently, quite obviously. 10 is a problem position for us, but not that starting. It's the backup and the squad players, which we really are lacking.
Yeah, we need to sign a 10, don't we? Unless Carlton Leggett Jones is going to make the step up.
He's not making the step up to professional rugby, but men's rugby, ooh, maybe. And still a year early. Still a year early. Kids only just turned 17. If he's just turned 17, yeah. So a lot of time to go. A lot of time to go. He's got at least another 5-6 years to develop. Not that he's going to take that long. But yeah, 10. If we could sign an experienced 10, I'll be honest, I don't care who at the minute. I don't have no expectations. As long as it's someone who's played 10 professionally for at least a couple of years, I'll be like, yes, I'll take him, bring him in. Because, Joe Hawkins, grade 12, project player at 10. And then behind him, and no disrespect to these players, but they are academy boys going into their second year of men's rugby, Ellis Price and Steph and Jack Jones. I mean, Steph Jack Jones has been playing Bucks rugby. He's had an odd couple appearances for Llandovery. Ellis Price, he was a 12 coming into the season, and now he's been seen as a 10 going forward. And so I think he's got less than double digit games at 10 for Quins. So we really are hoping that the injury gods don't strike us down. And we know our luck with them in crucial positions over the last few years. So fingers crossed there. On to those signings. So before we broke off, we'd only had the one signing of Joe Hoggins, as mentioned, but we've had two since, literally the day after the last podcast. A certain Jake Ball was announced as returning to FA. Now, I'm happy about this. I think regardless of the player he is now, he brings value and he brings that experience, even if it is to the next generation, more than being that top level first 23 player he is anymore. Some people have different opinions. How are you feeling about Jakey?
Look, obviously a legend of the club, a legend of the game. Looks in great shape if you go on his socials and things. I'm just he hadn't been playing for his second division Japanese team. He'd retired. He'd already retired once before that. So I'm just not sure what we're getting. Look, do I want it to be a success? Of course I do. Do I want him to get back into the Wales squad? Of course I do. And look, in the second row, maybe if you're big enough, you're good enough, and he's a big man. I don't know. I don't know anything about that position. But look, do I want it to be a success? Absolutely. Am I beside myself with excitement? I'm jury's out until I've actually seen him. Because, like I said, he's just not been playing in the second division of Japan, which is you're playing against factory workers. So, yeah, that's my worry. But maybe I'm just being a big negative Nelly.
You're being a big negative, Nelly. I'm telling you that. We look at this as he's put years on his body. He hasn't taken years away. Like you said, he is in some shape. Like I wouldn't know how much he's weighing in at, but that boy is cut to hell and back. I think he's going to be giving our nutritionists a few lessons, to be honest, when he comes back, because he looks unbelievable. There's no doubts to that. We know it's not financially driven because he's got his own, is it vitamins or supplement company that's going now. So said, I think unfinished business was the terms used. So, and I'd like to think that he's not going to put himself back in his position to, like, I don't know if his family's coming with him. Like, we don't know these particulars. I don't know if he's going to put himself in this position to, just for the paycheck, just to see, like, I might as well do it. I don't think that's the story. I think he wants this, which is positive. The other signing is another one we've kind of all been waiting around a while to hear about, and that is Dane Blacker making his way back down west. Mistake letting him go. Obviously, finance was the reason, and the timing of the contracts, yada, yada, yada. But he has had a terrible time at the Dragons. There's no two ifs, no two buts. And quite frankly, the contract that they signed him on, we're probably getting him on slightly better value, if not equal to that, because his stock hasn't exactly grown from teetering on, Wales 23 selection to basically not being involved in matchday squads when he's fit. I mean, I'm sure I saw his name in the SRC at one point as well, which, considering the player that he was for us, is incredibly worrying for the guy. But he's obviously seen the errors of his ways. We've seen the errors of ours, and we've both combined to bring him back home, because this is his home. We picked him up as an academy player. Boom, he's ours. He's a Scarlet. Annisabel, Pontypridd, Rhondda. I'll be honest, there's a lot more Scarlets in here than Cardiff fans anyway.
Yeah. Look, like you said, it's clearly not gone well at the Dragons for him. But when he was last with us, he got into the Wales squad. So just backing him to rediscover that form. And what's nice about it is we know he's a scrum half that Dwayne Peel trusts, which is nice.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. And I'll be honest, I'm hoping after this trip to South Africa, he starts trusting Archie because there's no reason why he shouldn't. So that brings us to the end of Lions talk. End of news talk. Is it end of news talk? Should we? Shouldn't we?
What time are we on? Obviously, there's the PRA ongoing. Scarlets not signed it. Osprey's not signed it. Dragons signed it. Cardiff, do they even have to sign it? But for me, my own personal opinion, the WRU taking over Cardiff resets all negotiations to zero, and it's such a seismic change to the whole premise of everything that I'm very surprised that the WRU took over Cardiff and they were like, right, sign it then, sign it by Thursday. Like literally everything has changed. So that's my view.
Yeah, I'm not as drastic as that. There are a lot of things that they probably need rewording now, but the the basis of them, it probably doesn't change that much in the grand scheme. The main one that people seem to be getting on, and one of the reasons why it's not being signed, is reassurances that Cardiff won't be unfairly funded, because that is something that's been in this PRA. Because in the last one that they signed, you couldn't fund one club without giving equal distribution of monies to the others. And obviously, they're not gonna, as far as I'm aware, they're not gonna cite some legal action to claim on some money that the Dragons apparently had or didn't have that was extra during their time under WRU ownership. But this PRA doesn't include that. So obviously, hypothetically speaking, if we just signed on the dotted line now, they could pump as much money into Cardiff as they wanted, and we wouldn't get a penny more. And I think that is the biggest issue. And I think it's been publicised that that's the biggest issue. So, unfortunately, yes, you're right. It does reset things, and it is still going to be a long while before anything does actually get signed, at least on the front of it.
Mm.
Like, everyone's got to do what's right for their own business. Dragons have their own business. Personally, I think they've played this really well. I won't go into that because it might upset some people. But yeah, PRA, TBD. So, community game?
Why not?
Why not? I like it. Let me make sure I'm on the right screen first. I don't want to ruin that for everybody. The highlight of the week to be absolutely destroyed. So there we go. I'm on the right screen. Let's share it. I'm sharing my screen. Who's looking really different? Okay, so it's been a little while, like we said, that 2 week gap. I'm not running through all fixtures, but there haven't been any. So I'll just go over. I will go over the last couple of weeks with the SRC because they were 2 really big weeks. So we had the quarterfinals after the last podcast we did, and it was Llandyfri at home to Pontypool. That was televised. That was a great game to watch. Up until the 77th minute, Llandyfri and Pontypool, it was a one-score game. It was always a tight affair, but Llandyfri never looked like they were going to lose it. And then, a couple of tries in the last 3 minutes really put that scoreline out there. So 39-20 is how that finished. Only 3 boys involved in that game. So Ed Scragg, Morgan Jones, and Serenagame Jack Davis with a try. Hell of a performance in that game. Absolutely unbelievable. The other quarterfinal was Carmarthen Quins travelling down to undefeated at home Ebbw Vale, and they pushed them all the way. Again, it was something like a 78th, 79th minute penalty that turned this into a 2-score game. So 45-35 is how we finished in favour of Ebbw Vale. So Quinn's going to be so proud of that performance. And we look at the Scarlets boys they had involved. They had Keanu Evans in the starting lineup, and they had Callum Woolley on the bench. And Quins have, throughout the entire season, had 6, 7, sometimes more Scarlets boys in that 23. And all them boys are injured. So it just tells you how much of a job this was for this, Carmarthen team to go down there and even
Or
come
playing for
close.
Poe and beating Leon away.
But yeah, we got to sneak in some Caro into a Palotu chat in here somewhere. He's having the time of his life. I don't know if you saw the little video of him. He was high-fiving all the little mascots. Only player to do it, mind. Just so cool. He's a cool guy. He cares so much, which is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so that was a quarterfinals done and dusted. Quinn's out, unfortunately, but
Scoring 35 away to Ebervale is not to be sniffed at.
It is not to be sniffed at. And do you want to talk for a quick moment, and I will tell you how many people have actually scored that many at Ebervale? Talk about Jack Davis. He's amazing.
Okay, well, the kind of clip that I've seen from Jack Davis is in the next game against Ebervale away, where Canterbury actually did manage to score 35. More on that in a moment. But Jack Davis was obviously on the bench against Benetton first game of the season and hasn't had another sniff since. Obviously, he probably would have been capped at the end of last season, but he broke his leg, and that's when Max Page got his opportunity, and obviously the rest is history. But yeah, Jack Davis couldn't really be doing much more to hammer the door down in terms of getting Scarlets recognition. It just, unfortunately, he's got the full Wales back three plus Max Page in front of him. Don't forget about Tommy Lewis, by the way. So our back three depth is ridiculous. I don't see when they're going to get a game.
No, Quins are the only team to score over 30 points against Ebervale this season. That includes Llandovery coming really close with 29 and 28 respectively. And that does lead us in to the next game. Llandovery travelled to Ebervale in a semi-final, again televised. 21-5 up at half-time, Llandovery were, and they looked for all money. Jack Davis was just he was playing for fun. Line break here, try assist there, line break here, try there. He was just amazing. He really was, and it is hard to see, where we find room for him because we literally don't. And if we are using Max as a wing option, that puts Jack in that sixth slot. So you're not getting minutes as a sixth choice back three player without some injuries. We'll have a bit of fun, dude, in the Six Nations and international periods, like he did this year. I think he had a start against Ulster or Munster, one of them. But other than that, he's not going to be getting much game time, which is unfortunate because he is a talented player and he deserves more. So Llandovery in this game, it was the same three in the starting lineup: Ed Scragg, Morgan Jones, and Jack Davis. They also had Kian Abraham, another winger, on the bench. 21-5 up at half time. They only scored 7 points in the second half, and that was towards the end of the game. I think it was actually the last move of the game, actually, and they lost 29-28. Honestly, I'm banging my head at how they've managed to go from such a strong position to losing. Very similar to a few weeks ago, how they lost against Bridgend. Ebervale have got a great set piece, great forwards. No one's arguing that. I'm like, don't me wrong, I'm more Carmarthen than I am Llandovery. I can openly say that. I've lived in Carmarthen, so there's that aspect to it. But I'm hurt for Llandovery because there's no reason other than them not being in the right mindset, I sort of think, going into the second half. I mean, maybe if it was 14-5, did score towards the end of the first half as well. Maybe if it was 14-5, it'd be a different game. You come out different mindset, etc., etc. But I'm just hurt, and I hate to feel how Eros and the rest of the boys are feeling about this. But me as a Scarlet, as someone who's been following the SRC all season, loving these guys play, loving watching these guys play, and seeing how they're doing in all these games, it hurts. It really hurts. But it does mean for the first time since 2022, the top tier of Welsh domestic rugby will not have the name Llanddyfri written on it. So that's sad. I don't know how you were feeling. Did you catch any of this game?
No, only the clips of Jack Davis and stuff. But obviously, the Llandudno having to make do with just the one trophy this season. It's a shame.
I know it is a shame, but bigger and stronger next season. It's gonna be fun to see some of the new intake of the academy playing for both Llanddyfri and Quins. It's gonna be a ride because that strong 18 side we saw from 2 seasons ago on this season. Well, all those boys are now graduating up. The last of them are coming through now, so this is going to be fun. I do feel sorry for the other teams in the SRC over the next coming years as these boys mature because they are going to cause some problems. Okay, into the Premiership. Not really a great deal to talk about. Llangennech winning 33-26 at home against Cross Keys midweek, and then going down 45-22 away to Merthyr, which 45-22 away to Merthyr is an absolutely brilliant score because some teams decide to shift over 100 points away to Merthyr. But, the less about them, the better. So Merthyr, as you could probably guess, champions of this league, relegated Bonamine and our friends Newcastle Emlyn. We've known this for a while, but it's still gutting to hear. Sorry, boys, but we'll enjoy you back in Championship West next season. Into Championship West, midweek game, Crymych 40 points to 45 losers at home to Dunvant, and then went and won 52-48 away to Maesteg Quins on the Saturday. So that is a hell of a lot of points. That's 185 points in 2 games. Yeah, they fans, especially the ones that travel to Maesteg, Maesteg I think they didn't have won a game all season, so they're probably thinking, bound to be a win by year. They must have been pulling their hair out watching this one. Crymych, thankfully safe in this league. Ammanford 34-24 winners at home against Kenfig Hill. Llanelli Wanderers, champions, Cup and League double champions, double because they've done the same in Division 1 Cup and West last season. 34-19 winners at home to Casainon. There is no end to this team. They're just going to keep getting better and better. And there is a team at the top end of the amateur game called Llanelli playing out at Stradey Park. So I'm happy to say that. So and maybe in a year or so's time, they might even put in an SRC application. Who knows? Probably not. So champions of Championship West, obviously Llanelli Wanderers, relegated Stalavera, Maesteg Quins. I think I've run through the winners and promoted relegation for the rest of these leagues. The only new one I think is Llangadog being relegated from 3 West. I think that came down to the last game of the season. There were some cup finals, so Division 5, 4, 3, and 2 went ahead this past Saturday and Sunday, all at Rodney Parade, weirdly enough. So in Division 5, St. Peter's Athletic won their Division 5 Cup final 31-18 against Cardiff Met Athletic. Division 4 Cup, Seven Sisters, 53-31 winners against Gwynedd. And then Division 3 Cup, the one we wanted, Aberteifi, Cardigan, against Newport Saris, essentially a home game for Newport Saris being at Rodney. Not really, but I'm saying there is. 20 all at the 80th minute. And there was no extra time to be played in these games. So Newport Saris won 3-1 on try count. Quite devastating for Cardigan. They did have a penalty a couple minutes from the end, which just sailed wide, which obviously would have secured the win. So, it's unfortunate for them. But, strong season. They'll have another crack at the 3 Cup again next season. So there we go. Division 2 Cup, Caerphilly winning 23-50 against St. Albans. Down in the youth, you've had the district finals. I don't know if I've run through some of these already. I know I haven't done the Calms ones. So, Ceredig in Pembrokeshire. So the play competition won by Tenby, 55-5 against Crymych. The Cup, Haverfordwest winning 54-24 against Narberth. Into the Carmarthenshire Plate, Lambda 26-12 winners against Carmarthen Athletic. And in the Cup, as if you didn't already know it, Llandailo once again, champions again, 32-27 against Carmarthen Quins. So that's another double for Llandailo Youth. They've won the WRU Cup 2 years on the bounce, and I'm pretty sure they've won this Carmarthenshire Cup 2 years on the bounce too. I hope I'm not wrong. But yeah, that brings the end of the county round, and that is it for the season. So we're going to have a couple of weeks whilst we talk about the Sharks win and obviously our run to the playoff final and obviously ultimate win. We're going to do it without a community game unless we get some sort of news, which I doubt. But there we go.
Well, Mark, we might not get any news, but there's one thing that we do keep getting.
I'm confused. What do we keep getting?
We've received a letter.
No, a letter. Are you
A
kidding
letter.
me?
It's from Jack from Lucker.
Didn't know. I really didn't know.
He says this: Dear Sosbans and Sidesteps, this
Hello.
doesn't mean that you're good. Yes, you may have won 4 league games in a row and your first URC game in South Africa, but this doesn't mean that you're good. You may have beaten Leinster and the Bulls and come within a kick of beating Glasgow, but this doesn't mean that you're good. You might be 6th in the league with 17 games played and a points difference of plus 54, but this doesn't mean that you're good. Your backline may be a full homegrown. Your backline may be full of homegrown talent, bolstered by excellent recruitment, such as the previously unknown players like Blair Murray and Ellis Mee. But this doesn't mean that you're good. You may have a superb set piece with 96 scrum success and 90% line-out success, both well within the top 10 in club rugby. But this doesn't mean that you're good. Just don't ask me to explain why. Yours, Jack from Lucker. Well, what are you saying, Mark? Because I take a glance at social media. Just because we keep winning games doesn't mean that we're good. Is the lesson that I'm learning?
Yeah, and I can really explain it. We're not good. We're not good at all. We're great. That's what he's trying to say. Honestly, we play well when we've got our first 23, first 25, probably first 28, as long as those key injuries are not the ones taking the hit. We don't have a big enough squad to compete on all fronts. I do think we have a big enough squad to compete on one. So that's going to be fun. Seeing our recruitment going forward. Yeah, we're looking good. But yeah, I think looking at the teams around us, the Munster performance still hurts. Same as the Gloucester one, because they are the games I'm like, we didn't deserve to even come within a sniff of that because we didn't properly turn up. And we probably could have if we had. But yeah, I mean, barring those 2 games, we've been in every single game this season, and we arguably, I'm not saying arguably, we could have won every single game outside of those 2 this season. So if you're telling me in a season of 22 games so far that we've won 11, drawn 1, but we could have possibly won 20 and legitimately possibly won 20, then yeah, I think that qualifies us of at least good. And people go on about the finances of Welsh rugby. Oh, we don't have the money to compete. Well, the funny thing about not having the money to compete, you've also got to, if we have that money, what players do we bring in? Because we can't bring in any extra non-Welsh qualified players. We know that. So are there another 10, 20, 30 international standard Welsh players out there that we can bring in? Because the only thing raising the finances is going to really do is inflate wages. And for the most count, we'll probably get a lot more squad players, but we're not going to get more first 23 players. There's maybe a handful of first 23 players, Welsh 23 players not playing within Wales at the minute. And then you're sharing them between the 4 regions. So, yes, we can get better, but I don't think people should be underestimating us for the problems in Welsh rugby because the finances are low, because we don't have that depth, because we've got more than good enough squad to compete in the competition.
And compete we are.
And compete we are. And compete we will, because we are flying down from circa 6,000 foot in the air to sea level. So, for one,
It's Shark Week, Mark. Do you know what that means?
do we have to talk about sharks?
I'll be right back.
He'll be right back. He's lost his line. He's lost his little notepad. He doesn't know what to say anymore. And so, yes, it is Shark Week. But before we dive into it, I'm really happy with the way the fixtures have unfolded. For those audio listeners, there is a shark on the screen. I don't know where it's come from. It looks deadly. It looks dangerous. It looks like it's about to eat something. I mean, his teeth are flayed to the side. I mean, wow. I mean, hello, Mr. Shark.
It's all right, Mark.
Oh,
It's just me.
oh, it's who? It's a shark hat.
It's the shark
No.
hat from last season. We've got, if people remember this, fair play to them.
I'll be honest, I forgot. I had a nice little memory boot just then as it popped on my screen.
I've been waiting all season for this.
Quite literally, 18 games you've had to wait for this.
Literally all season I've been waiting to bring this back.
So yeah,
We've never played Sail or anything.
nah, they're not real sharks. They don't have any sharks around Sail, do they? They don't even have a sea.
No, I don't even have a coastline. But they unless there's a beach in Northwich I've never been to. But yeah, so we're playing the Durban Sharks where they actually do have sharks and they have like shark attacks and everything.
Well, is it the Durban Sharks or is it the Natal Sharks?
Uh Durban Sharks, I think. Well, it's a Hollywood Bets Sharks. I've never
Hollywood
been to
Bet.
Hollywood Bets, but I don't know if it has a beach or not.
I think. I mean, if it's got sharks, it's probably got a beach. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah.
So,
So
oh, go on, Sharky. You do your thing.
so the thing about the Sharks is they're not very good, but they're fourth in the league. They're simultaneously terrible and keep winning games. It's quite annoying actually for serious rugby analysts such as myself. Um,
Serious.
it's really annoying having a team that's so bad constantly win. Um, everyone will tell you that they're bad. Their stats are terrible. I was just having a look at their stats earlier. They're not in the top 10 of anything. Um, they're if you watch them, they quite often lose the first half and they just look a shambles. If you check social media during a Sharks game, there'll just be people going, "Oh my God, this is the worst team I've ever seen in my life," and then they just win by like a point every week. Um, so yeah, they're just the thing about the Sharks is they've got really, really, really good players,
Yeah.
but they're coached awfully. They're I hand on dorsal fin or whatever a shark does. Um, there's if Dwayne Peel coached the Sharks would win the URC comfortably and probably get to the semi-final of the Champions Cup. That's how badly they're currently coached compared to the talent that they've got. Like even they're not famous players, like Lorenzo Julius is amazing, but they're just an absolute catastrophe on the pitch. But they might rotate because they've already got fourth sewn up. Although there is a chance they could go third because Glasgow have kind of fallen off a cliff a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
So I am actually looking at the results from the league this season, and the only teams that they've beaten by more than a score at home, Munster and Ospreys, and then away, um, the Bulls and Cardiff. So this Bulls away is it's no mean feat. I mean, we are the Bull Tamers, so we do know how to beat them. So we should be able to take care of some Sharks. But yeah, some quite erratic results, to be totally honest here. I mean, what were they, 33-30 against the Dragons? I mean, that tells you something. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I agree. Sharks poorly coached is probably an understatement. So yeah, we've got more than enough. I reckon we've got more than enough, and we play the way we have against Leinster, the way we done against the Lions. Probably said Lions twice then. There's no reason why we shouldn't be confident of doing a job in this game. Obviously, I'm not expecting us to get a 5-pointer easily. It's going to be a challenge. But if our attack stays as it is, we get that little bit of composure that was missing at certain times in the Lions game. You know, we could have quite easily walked out of Joburg with, 6, 7, 8 tries. You know, and that would have been some feat. So keep our trajectory as it is, and I can't see anything but a win against the Sharks.
I agree.
He agrees. Wow.
I would love it if we beat them. That would be a hell of a result. I say I can't see anything but a win. I can see them just doing what they always do, which is play extremely badly and win.
Yeah, it's like you watch some of their highlights and you watch some of their majority of their tries and thinking, well, you didn't plan for that. You know, that's just happened. You know, sort of thing. Not like a magical break of 80 meters, or whatever. They do happen, but it's there's no rhyme or reason. It's just someone making the right decision at the right time, and boom.
Yeah, based off being a really good player. Like I said, Makazole Mapimpi being one of those. Lorenzo Julius, I guess, is the not famous Sharks player who you need to watch out for. They call him the Boogeyman.
Boogeyman.
Hell of a play. Scored against Toulouse earlier in the season. Um, who else? I'll
Do
make
they
it
have
obvious. They got this guy called Sia Khaleesi, he plays number 8.
yeah,
He's decent.
playing number 8, is he? What do you
Yeah,
think?
he's been playing on number 8 all season. He's been a man reborn. He's been amazing.
So basically, they saw Tane Plumtree playing at 8 and thought, you know what, that'd be good for Sia Khaleesi.
Well, John Plumtree, Tane Plumtree's dad, is coaching the Sharks. So sorry, Tane. We've just slagged off your dad. But,
Hey, if we can't slag off his dad when we're facing his team, when can we slag off his dad?
yeah. So, basically, I've got nothing else to say. I expect the Sharks to win this, but play really badly.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts me deeply. I think we're gonna do this one again. You know, we've had our bad performance against the South African team this season, and that was the Stormers, and that wasn't even bad. That was probably
Shall we just quickly
average.
talk about the permutations? Because we've got to,
We
we
got to
might
watch
know
rugby on a
before this
Friday night.
game. Huh?
We've got to watch rugby on a Friday night when we're not playing.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly. We
permutation.
might know before kickoff whether we're in the playoffs or not. I think basically what needs to happen is Cardiff needs to beat the Stormers and then uh, another one. Edinburgh need to beat Ulster, which they probably will, for us, both of which getting bonus points for us to not be in the playoffs.
That also depends on the Benetton Munster game. Someone winning that, because there is a
Yeah,
scenario.
that can't. If that's a 28-all draw,
It could be
that
20 all.
shafts us.
I mean, it only shafts us to a certain point. The way I'm looking, Benetton and Munster face each other in Munster. They're both on 46 points. They play out a draw. They get 4 tries each with three match points. So they go ahead of us by 1 match point. So that's 49, 12, 48. This could be 20 points, just 4 tries apiece each. This could be 1,000 tries each. It really doesn't matter because it doesn't affect their points difference in the slightest, which would be a factor later on. So that would mean if as long as in the scenario Benton and Munster both get 3 points in the game, we just need a bonus point. And this comes with the added effect of Edinburgh or Cardiff, one of them winning as well. Because
I think Cardiff Stormers might be tasty, I think there might be a few tries in that one.
I mean, it's a hard one to call because Stormers they're not getting top 4, but they also don't know where Bulls and Sharks are going to finish up. So
But
they can't
I
really.
thought maybe Stormers will rotate, but they've they need to secure fifth, I think.
I, they're locked down for the playoffs.
Yeah,
So
they're in the playoffs. They just don't know where they're finishing.
yeah, but
But they don't know what order they're finishing above them either.
no,
That's the interesting thing. They don't know whether because if you're the Stormers, you want to go to away to either Bulls or Sharks.
yes. So
But now Glasgow are kind of fallen off a cliff. They could end up going away to Glasgow, which they ironically don't want. They want to stay in South Africa for sure.
well, yeah, and that's kind of the same thing for us. I want to qualify, but I'd love to qualify without having to go to South Africa. And there is a way for that to happen, but it does involve us winning against the Sharks, which we'll do. We know we'll do. I'm just giving you a stern lock, Sharky. It would involve Cardiff beating Stormers. So blah blah blah. We finish fifth, Glasgow finish fourth, and Leinster finish first. And I know I'm getting way ahead of myself, but we'll go to Glasgow. We'll do a number of them in the quarters. We'll go to Leinster. We'll do a number on them in the semis. And then we're back in Cardiff to smash another South African team on Welsh soil. And there we are,
Why would we be in
2025.
Cardiff?
That's where the final is, isn't it?
No, there's the Champions
Oh
Cup finals in
no!
Cardiff. It's home advantage.
Oh no, I'm thinking about that, and
So
I'm
I don't
making it
think there's any
wrong.
way of us winning the league without having to go back down to South Africa
Oh yes, there is.
or
It,
Dublin.
oh no, we'd have to go Dublin.
Unless,
Benetton or Munster or
yeah,
Edinburgh somehow
unless
knock off the
we finish
Sharks.
like sixth and then one of Benetton or Munster, probably Munster, let's face it, go on a
Yeah,
run in the playoffs and then they knock everybody out. And then Munster come to Llanelli to play the Scarlets for the title.
that would be nice. That is a permutation that works. I'm happy with that. So Glasgow, Leinster, Munster at home. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
get behind that. So this is this is how the playoffs are going down. It's not a prediction; it's a fact. Yeah, is Friday night is going to be fun. So obviously Edinburgh, Ulster are playing, Cardiff Stormers are playing, and Benetton Munster are playing. Not in those home and away formats. I'm pretty sure I've botched them up quite massively. But yeah, so come I don't know quarter to 10 on Friday night, we will know 100%, no doubts about it, what we need to do to get in the playoffs. And quite frankly, we're probably already there. So yeah, good end to the season.
absolutely.
Are you okay with that, Mr. Sharky? Because I know your team is Sharks. You're okay with going out in the I don't know where would they
I'm actually
play?
a Miami Sharks fan.
You like Rob Evans?
He doesn't play for them anymore, I don't think.
He did. He did
He
play.
did. Yeah.
Is he your favourite Welsh player besides Torrin? Is it Torrin Mael or Kirby Mael who went over there? Yeah, Rob Evans. He's a good boy. We like Rob Evans. Here we go. Okay. Do we have anything else to talk about, Mr. Sharky? No? Okay, so that does bring us to the end of this week's podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've made it this far, please like, share, subscribe, share with a friend, sell it to the world, please. We're begging you. We need to feed our families here. Who needs to buy his fourth home in Pembrokeshire? Please. Who, as always, thank you for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will catch you all again next week, celebrating a fantastic win over the Sharks and our fifth place finish in the URC. Bye, everyone.
Bye.